Hello, my name is Joshua Mugabe. I welcome you to Coordination and Control, questions 46 to 50. What is meant by mutual inhibition as far as the compound I is concerned? Part B. Compare the functionality of the compound I and the mammalian I. Part C. Explain the reason for the poor resolving ability of a compound I. Explain what is meant by mutual inhibition as far as the compound I is concerned. Mutual inhibition, which we can call latent inhibition, in the compound I is where two ommatidia are stimulated simultaneously. They fire impulses at lower frequency than when each is stimulated single, because the ommatidia exert an inhibitory influence on each other, i.e. mutual inhibition. The importance of the mutual inhibition is that it improves contrast between light and dark boundaries. Compare the functionality of the compound I and the mammalian I. We shall look at the similarities. Both are able to perceive color. They have color vision. Both function in bright and dim light. In both, light sensation is by light stimulating photosensitive cells. In both, the generated impulse are sent to the brain through the optic nerve. In both, there is overlap of images. Differences. Compound I has a fixed focus, no accommodation. Mammalian I has a digestible focus. It has accommodation. Compound I, overlap of images is greater, hence blood images are produced. In mammalian I, overlap of image is smaller, hence clear images are produced. Compound I detects light that is parallel to its long axis. Mammalian I detects light reaching it at all angles. Compound eye has lesser power of color vision. Mammalian eye has greater powers of color vision. Compound eye has quicker detection of movement, pattern vision. Mammalian eye has slower detection of movement. Compound eye has poor resolving ability and poor visual acuity. Mammalian eye has good resolving ability and greater visual acuity. Compound eye has poor dark adaptation, poor vision at night. Mammalian eye has better dark adaptation. Compound eye shows nearsightedness. Mammalian eye can see both near and far. Part C. Explain the reason for the poor resolving ability of a compound eye. The poor resolving ability of the compound eye is due to the fact that ommatidia are larger than rods and cones. Therefore, few can be packed in the same area. There is greater overlap of images. (47) Describe how light reception occurs in a compound eye of an insect. Part B. Outline some adaptations employed by vertebrates to improve vision. Part C. State the differences between hearing in bats and that in humans. Part A. Describe how light reception occurs in the compound eye of an insect. Only light entering the ommatidia parallel or almost to their long axis reaches the microvilli extensions of the retinal cells, forming rhabdome. Any light entering at an angle to them is absorbed by the pigmented cells, which work like the iris. On reception of light stimulus, a photochemical reaction occurs, as a result of which the membranes of the retinal cells are depolarized and impulses are fired into the nerve fibers, which lead them to the optical ganglion and later to the optical nerve. Part B outlines some adaptations employed by vertebrates to improve vision. We shall start with the diurnal animals. Increase in the number of cones to increase visual acuity in the prevailing increasing light intensity. Enlargement of the eye to get larger images by increasing the lens retinal distance. Have color filters which absorb light of various wavelengths, thus decreasing chromatic. Let's now look at the nocturnal animals. These ones have good number of both rods and cones, giving sensitivity over a wide range of light intensity. Adjustment of the eye aperture regulates light entry into the eye. Migration of cells, that is, pigment cells into the light cells, or light cells into pigment cells, to guard against high light intensities. For example, in fish. Let's now talk about aquatic animals. Possession of cornea and lens with refractive index close to that of water. This minimizes refractive errors. Part C. State the differences between hearing in birds and that in humans. Hearing in birds. It depends on the sound produced by themselves and reflected by some objects in the environment. In human, this depends on the sound produced from a vibrating object in the environment. In birds, they have the ability to eliminate noise in the environment from the echoes. In human, have greater ability to discriminate between sounds due to a well-developed brain. In birds, able to perceive sound of very high frequency. In humans, capable of only perceiving low frequency sounds. Number 48. Explain how balance of the body is achieved. Part B. Describe the advantages organisms can perceive high frequency sounds have over those that perceive low frequency sound. Part A. Explain how balance of the body is achieved. Perception of gravity, that is position of the head, linear acceleration. Its function of the ventricle, which respond to vertical movement, and the satchel, which respond to lateral or sideways movement. When the head is upside down, the otolith of the ventricle falls away from the macula, pulling the sensory hair cells, generate a receptor potential, firing a sensory impulse into the vestibular nerve to the brain. When the head is on one side, the sensory hair cells are stretched obliquely. The way the sensory projection are stretched determines the pattern of the impulse reaching the brain. These are interpreted accordingly and hence providing information about the position of the head. Rotational movement, that is angular acceleration. It is function of the semicircular canals. When the head begins to rotate in any direction, the inertia of the endoleaf causes it to lag behind and exerting pressure that deflects the cupula in the opposite direction, which bends the cilia at the top of the hair cells. The sensory cells create generator potential, leading to propagation of action potentials in the vestibular neuron. Part B. Describe the advantages organisms that perceive high frequency sounds have over those that perceive low frequency sound. High frequency waves spread less and their echo are refined, that they pinpoint the object from which they are being refracted quite accurately, as opposed to low frequency wave which spread widely and their refraction are not easy to pinpoint accurately the location of the object. High frequency sounds, being of short wavelength, allow location of small objects. Since shorter wavelength sounds require minimal size of the object that will refract it. With examples, state 4 ways hormones influence molecular reactions in cells. B. Describe the control of tag changes in a sensitive plant like Mimosa pudica. Part C. State the differences between accommodation of a near object and a distant object. Part A. With examples, state 4 ways hormones influence molecular reactions in cells. Affecting transcription of genetic information. For example, estrogen. Affecting protein synthesis. Example, growth hormone. Altering enzyme activity. Example, adrenaline. Altering permeability of the cell membrane. For example, insulin. Describe the control of the tag changes in a sensitive plant like Mimosa pudica. All cells in the plant have active sodium pumps in their cell membrane, whose activity keeps them in a state of resting potential. On being touched, the surface membrane of the area touched, for example, the leaflet, becomes depolarized, resulting in an action potential, which is propagated through the surrounding phloem cells to specialized group of parenchyma cells at the base of the leaflets of the purvinus called the motor cells. These cells respond to the depolarization by actively pumping potassium ions from their cytoplasm into the extracellular space around themselves. As the concentration of potassium ions within the motor cells falls, their water potential becomes less negative and hence lose water by osmosis. Thus, they shrink and the leaflet is pulled upwards. Many such movements results in leaflets closing up. If undisturbed again, in close sequence, the leaflet return to their normal position by reversing the movement of potassium ions and hence the water potential. Part C. State the difference between accommodation of a near object and a distant object. Near object, light must be refracted a lot, and far object, light must be refracted a little. Object near eye, lens must be thick. Object far from the eye, lens must be thin. Object near the eye, ciliary muscles contract. Object far from eye, ciliary muscle relax. Object near the eye, suspensory ligaments slacken. Object far from the eye, suspensory ligament tense. Number 50. Explain the various ways in which the efficiency of receptors is ensured. Part B. Explain the differences in acuity and sensitivity to light by different parts of the retina. Explain the various ways in which the efficiency of receptors is ensured. Having various thresholds. This extends the range of stimuli for receptors. Adaptation provides organism with precise information about changes in the environment. Spontaneous activity. Increasing sensitivity of receptor by enabling it make a response to a stimulus that would normally be too small to produce a response. The direction of the change in the stimuli can be registered by this system as an increase or decrease in the frequency of the response in the sensory neuron. Feedback control of receptor activity resets the sensitivity of receptor to different ranges of stimuli sensitivity. Summation: the retinal convergence in rod cells increases sensitivity to low light intensity. Accessory structures, effect of hormones like adrenaline. Part B. Explain the differences in acuity and sensitivity of light by different parts of the retina. The fovea is sensitive only to high light intensity. The sensitive to color due to presence of the cones and absence of rods. It has a high visual acuity because of the high concentration of cones. Each cone synapses with one bipolar neuron, synapsing with one ganglion cell. Each pair of image is thus selected by a different cell, eliminating blurring. The layer of nerve fibers is thin and the capillaries are absent, which minimizes interference. The outer edge of the sensitive to low light intensity, insensitive to color, and has low visual acuity because has only rods which are not tightly packed and has synaptic convergence, which increases collective sensitivity but reduces detail. The blind spot is insensitive to light due to absence of photoreceptor cells. Thank you very much for participating in coordination and control. Questions 46 to 50. Please do like, share, and subscribe.